Um, I was going to be doing a letter to my brother. I know he's dead. I say sometimes it helps to write a letter to your big brothers. It just hurts to badly even touch the topic if I had to. I was listening to the music of Artie Shaw's Beguile, and I thought it was more appropriate doing that instead of Benny Goodman's Goodbye, because that's just on the equivalent of hearing Bette Midler's Wind Beneath My Wings, and I can never hear that again without thinking about Ma, without thinking about a few other people who have it's associated with, that I can't handle it. Every once in a while, it's becoming a greater while that I can appreciate a little bit of music here and there, including the music I used to love, including jazz. My brother, David, got me into the jazz. He got me to listen to it. He told me that his family got connections with Artie Shaw somehow in the gene pool. Somehow he was a distant relative or a distant, somewhere. But it was part of the Shaw clan somehow. I always felt a little envious about that one. I never knew what the hell my heritage was except for the Camerons. But my brother would be fascinated about the Shaws. But I wish I paid attention to what the hell he was talking about concerning about his own family lineage. I was I was never part of it. I was never part of it. Because I never knew what the hell my lineage was in the first place. And he had a father. He had a grandfather and grandmother at one time I'd never seen. He had cousins and relatives I'd never seen, except maybe talk to every once in a while on the phone. That was about it. After that, he's, he's dead, and nobody else talks to me ever since. Nobody. Nobody even tries to reach me, one way or another. So it kind of sucks. Nobody, nobody tries to reaching me. Not from his side of the family, not from Texas. And I always wish I was part of his family more and more. Not with the drinking, but he had family. I know I had Ma and I had the other cousins, but they had a better family and a better culture than I had. What the hell did I have? I never knew about my father's culture. I never knew anything about my father. Nothing. My father was a promoted to be a magician. Big whoop. He was an inventor. Big whoop. He had patents. Big whoop. I didn't know if I was pulling my leg or not. I couldn't even verify any of it anyway. Sold off his patents. He disappears. And my father was a jackass. He ran. He ran out on me. A hell of a lifelong resentment towards the guy. Had been fear. Had to been fear. What the fuck was he afraid of? Having a family? Having to raise a family? Not knowing what to do about a family? Anything? He was about to get his own kid. Somebody after his own lineage. Disappears, nothing. My brother's father at least tried to keep contact with him every once in a while, see what was going on with him. his grandparents had ranch somewhere out in Texas. My brother would tell me about this bull that they would have for a pet. Got too old one time. Unfortunately, in the cattle business, even pets don't last too long, especially when you have them as a bull. And the only way you can get rid of them is fork and knife. I thought that was cruel, but that's cattle business. My brother's grandfather was in the cattle business a long time ago. He worked on a ranch. He'd be able to go out to places. I never could. My brother would have been able to deal with horses and that kind of lifestyle. I couldn't. He wasn't afraid. I was. I was afraid of life. I was afraid of living. I couldn't even get up to a horse without freaking out like crazy because I didn't know what the hell this damn thing was going to do. Was it going to step on me? That's all I needed. It took years for my brother to get me on a damn horse. One particular birthday in my 20s, we go out to a little bit of a horsing ranch. Actually, they had pony rides. The biggest pony they got, and they put me on the damn thing to take care of my weight. Old and slow. I had to be careful with his back. And I was afraid of the trail that we were traveling through Griffith Park, because I knew that there was rattlesnakes in the area. It was warm enough for the rattlesnakes to come on out. And it would freak me out if the damn horse would rear and I'd fall down and kill myself on a rock. It was an interesting experience. At least the horse was gentle enough. But I was terrified. My brother was a natural at it. He knew what to do on horses and stuff. I knew what to do in a damn city. But I was not built and raised in the country. Not that kind of lifestyle. Every time I keep watching westerns and stuff like that, I was always fascinated how they were able to live and how they were able to get past their damn fears and stuff. Because that's the kind of ruggedness that they actually had back then. And that kind of attitude was always transferred over. Even when I was growing up, you had to be tough and you had to be rough. You couldn't be Mr. Sensitive. You couldn't be Mr. Fraidy Cat. No, no, no. Not in those kind of environments, not on those kind of days. My brother could be able to handle that kind of stuff. I was looking through my own damn prison classes. I didn't know how to handle shit. I couldn't. Anyway, sometimes when I say that, it's going to be change of topic. Someone else was giving me a change of phone number. I was going to be writing a letter to David. I was thinking about that. My days has been gone screwy. My days have been hard as hell. I've been dealing with too much stress and too much pressure. Not because of a professor is trying to get us going. He's been trying to keep the pressure easy on us. But the pressure has always been on me because I've been dealing with my own damn issues, my own grieving at this point. seeing too much death and destruction going on that I'm still having a hard time trying to see whether or not if I can actually clear this class or not, but I want to get through it. But the letter I wanted to write to my brother is whether or not if he was coming through the door or not. I know he's not coming through the door, but if I was going to be doing something like that, what the hell would I say? Or if there was a way to get a letter to heaven. Dear Dave, let me put on this music here to help make my mood a little bit more easier to deal with. Because every time I keep trying to find out if there's a song I like to put on there, I can't put on there because it hurts like hell. My brother and I had grown up in a musical era. He was born in the 50s, late 50s. I was born in the mid 60s. We had born into the rock and roll era. There was still country music about. The music of big band era was dying out left and right. Swingers were gone. You've got free and wild people going about. You had protesting music going on left and right because of war going on in Vietnam. And my brother and I would be listening to it. Not exactly agreeing with it, but just listening to the music. So all we did was listen to the music. We'd have our favorite pop, and we have our favorite country albums listening to. We'd listen to the old stations. Music was our life. And on some occasions, we'd listen to, on Sundays when they actually had CBS Radio Hour. When they actually had the radio, when CBS radio station, KNX, was hooked up to the national CBS network, we'd be listening to a lot of radio programs. I always liked the murder mystery ones because of the music they had in it. It was always eerie. My brother and I would be looking at each other and say, goosebumps, goosebumps. But we'd be listening to music sometimes on the radio. Or he'd get a record and play this or play that. And one of them was Artie Shaw. And he had the one that said Beguile on it. We had a 45 at one time. We had a bunch of LPs. 45s to 33s. Old time music. Old time music. Growing up, we inherited the family's musical library. I screwed it up when we got evicted out of a trailer home and into the streets and sell the shit off. Well, that was good music, but there was a lot of good music for different types. Some of my collections, a lot of David's collections and Ma's collections and Grandma's collections. Music you couldn't hear and get anymore. Music ties in with memories, and memories of good and bad, and it tears me apart sometimes. If I hadn't seen, well, actually, if I hadn't come across one particular piece of music, and I know David hasn't, usually I could listen to that thing, no problem at all, but listening to the regular stations out there and to what they had and what the music we had loaded up digitally copied off of tapes and CDs and loaded up, holding onto them preciously like crazy because I don't want to lose any of them because they remind me too much of my brother and I'm holding onto them too damn tightly. And one of them is dealing with Artie Shaw, Beguile. But another one was dealing with Benny Goodman, Goodbye. My brother and I also would watch movies together as adults. We'd watch AMC when it was on there, when we actually had cable. American Movie Channel. There was a movie called Benny Goodman Story. There was also another movie that my mother loved as well when she was alive with us and watching it. The Glenn Miller Story. Also my brother's favorite. I like some of the music on it. I mean, I grew to appreciate it. When they were alive, my family was alive, I was alive, and it was the time to listen to music. It was the time to celebrate music. It was time to celebrate life. I can't even do that now. I feel like I am not celebrating life. I'm not living life. I can't even appreciate what I had appreciated with my family. And it hurts like hell. It hurts like hell when I think and remember things like this. It was one thing watching movies, and I'd probably get some soundtracks to them, or find somehow the soundtracks were being played, and or just have to rewatch the movie all over again and not pay attention to the action, but just pay attention to the music. One of the albums and one of the movies we would do all the time was The Sting. We'd listen to old time jazz on that one. It was a 1973 or 75 Universal Studio picture, Universal picture. And hang on a second. I'm just trying to get a search engine. I've Marvin Hamlish did the music for the 1973 film. But the music itself was more to it than that. The music was Scott Joplin's works. Some of it was adapted by Marvin Hamlish, God rest his soul, and God rest Scott Joplin's soul. That it was maybe music of the times, but it was still pure, hopeful, lighthearted. Sometimes there was a tune that Scott Joplin did that Marvin Hamlish embellished on. They called it the death of Luther. In the film, there was a death of a character. And it was the hardest damn thing to watch. J- James Earl Jones. Of course, he was known as Robert Earl Jones, and he was Luther. But the music in that one was just haunting. My mother would listen to the music of Scott Joplin's works and associated it with Lord of the Rings, J.R. Tolkien's works. She was incredible about that one. She would associate certain tonal points, certain sections of the music, to actions happening in the book or books. She was mostly into The Hobbit, and she would watch it. And cartoons coming out every once in a while. The music on the cartoons didn't fit. She'd put on a damn album. We had the album for the regular soundtrack of the movie, but we also had Scott Joplin. It's hard to find his music online on YouTube, but it's out there. I heard it, at least certain portions of it anyway. And when I'm in a certain mood, I can listen to it and remember and feel. But not like I used to a long time ago. Because these days it's more and more of listening to my mother's memories and my brother and how we would be doing things. Letters. The hardest damn thing for me to do a letter about is my brother if I was going to be talking about his story. And it was bad enough was when I did just a musical video of him and Ma separately. There was also another one I did concerning about a certain baseball trip to a minor league baseball team that's no longer there. Lancaster Jethawks, go Hawks, and long live the Kaboom. Their mascot was a crow called Kaboom. It was supposed to be like a representative of the aerospace industry we have out here in Antelope Valley. Anyway, there were some pictures I had, and I made a little bit of a musical video on one of my channels. Some of them I still have to redo, I guess, because I wanted something about my brother. I wanted something about me and my brother having a good time out in the baseball field, watching a baseball game, eating hot dogs, and cussing out the players at the bat. And I did that video before my brother passed away. I did that at the trailer house when we were living there before coming over to this apartment here 6 years ago. And after I got it done, I think he watched it and I think he liked it. But I hadn't seen it since. The hardest damn thing is when you make a tribute to your family members is after you put in the work. It's hard as hell to see the work. I want to see everybody else's reactions to it. But watching it one more time kind of tears me apart. It's no wonder my brother would say, "Don't show me Ma's work. Don't show me that again. It was beautiful. Don't do it, please. Because I know he was not done grieving over Ma. He was not. He was never the same. When you lose family members, you are never the same anymore. It's hard to move on. The thing of it is, when you're not scrunching the stuff somehow inside yourself and shoving it into a corner where you don't want to feel anymore, you're going to act robot because now you got to take care of things and they matter the most. The problem is you don't know if you're really cracked or not unless you actually feel it, and then it hits. Then it hits. Then you're wondering why. Why did this happen? It happened because it happened. You had something happen and you got cracked and it's all spilling out and you're feeling it all over again. And you're immersed in the pain and the memories and the crying and the tears and the constant mound of tissues being built. You get paper from anywhere else that you can cry or sneeze on or blow the snot on. I'm trying to hold it back. I'm trying to hold it back at this point. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what I say. It's still there. And I know there has to be points where I'm probably thinking, and I've come across them too many damn times. And I know it usually takes one, just one slip up. And that's the end of it. What can I say to my brother? Oops, I slipped up. Now, how can I write a letter to my mother or my brother about all the things I've said and done and what I have gone through? I've got videos up to Yang Yang talking about them like crazy. About them. How they lived and how I was living with them. And what memories we had. What more could I tell my family except I miss them and I love them? That there's not enough to say or to write or to record that'll honestly allow me to wear my emotions on my sleeve. That I can't honestly get out. That I'm almost about to throw it up. And I want to deal with what I've got. I want to deal with my mother. I want to deal with my brother. I want to deal with them, period. I want to tell them that I love them a great deal and I don't know how I can. And I'm so damn tired. I'm so damn tired. And I can't perform. I can't perform. What the hell am I supposed to do? I don't know. You tell me, we'll both know. How can I tell people about what I'm thinking and feeling these days? How can I honestly tell them in the face? A friend of mine lost her mother. She was in her 80s. She felt my mother was 76. My brother was 60. They're, she and a daughter of hers are in a mourning, grieving. At times they can function, and other times they can't. They just recently lost her mother. And this is the time for the shock and awe. Afterwards, the pancakes their ass. I've been through it too damn many times. Especially when my barriers are broken and now I can feel things that I didn't feel before. I'm reacting to things that I don't know why I'm reacting to. I'm reacting to stories about reunions, happy, not so happy, mostly happy. Try a soldier in a unit who adopted a puppy out in a combat zone. Get get their orders to come back home. There they get their discharges and leave. But the dog stays because he's part of the. It was just a mutt that they found. It was not a certified soldier dog. But this dog grew to bring joy to the entire unit, and they couldn't bring the dog back home. The soldier had to work with the SPCA to get this dog back. And finally, they were reunion. They were reunited. And it hurt like hell. It hurt like hell. I don't have any dogs out there in the street. But it hurt like hell because I couldn't even be reunited like that to anybody or anything. And to hear the squeaks and barks and yells of a dog of saying you're home, I'm home, I'm home. And that's what gets to me. I will never have that feeling ever again. I know I love my little dog, and this is the closest to home right now I can actually manage. But I can't manage myself the feeling I'm entirely home because my family, the ones I've left, they're gone. They're dead. I'm alive. And I can't hug anybody. I can't yelp for joy. I can't do the things a dog would do. I can't feel the things a dog would feel. Because the only things I know is pain. My family is not coming back. They're not. And now I'm in trouble. Now I'm in trouble. Oh boy. And yes, I hurt like a son of a bitch. I hurt. They're not fake tears, see, they're real. I go crazy over a damn dog commercial regarding a damn car. I cry my eyeballs out on that damn thing. Because of the advertiser's gimmick. The hardest damn thing is there was one time that I wish it didn't happen to happen, but it did. And I lost a dog because I didn't chase after him fast enough to protect him. And he was a runner. His name was Kelly, a black and white terrier mutt. He was definitely a street dog. He loved to play, loved to get out of the damn house, and wanted to be chased all over the place because he loved it. And he found himself in front of a car. You will never know the pain. You never know the shock and horror. You're lifting your best friend and you're rushing him to the vet and he dies in your arms and there's nothing you could do. This happened long ago and I still remember it. One of the most tragedies in my life that I will never ever forget. I, I don't know if it was this time or not. It didn't matter. I lost my friend. It's bad enough seeing my other friends in my life go through sickness and lack of health, or cancer eats them up, or diabetes eats them up, or I got a cousin dying from multiple health issues because of how she lived her life, but it didn't matter. I'm seeing her die in front of me. Or a friend of mine who had no choice but to be eaten up by cancer. Or seeing your grandmother in a bed dying of a stroke slowly and you don't even realize it. It was the same thing dealing with my mother decades afterwards. And then dealing with my brother's sudden death. I mean, how much more can I deal with? Some people kept saying I'm strong. I'm not. Maybe at times I kept trying to shove it away and try to be strong. And I knew I wasn't. You see a facade on the outside, but on the inside I'm crumbled. I'm ashes on the inside. It's not that easy dealing with this. It's not that easy dealing with all the crap going on in your head and all the crap going on in your life and people telling you one way or another how to deal with it and they don't know how. Or they've never been through your shoes. They've never been through what you're going through. Or what the hell I'm going through, that's for sure. Because none of them would ever actually be over here to help me deal with it. Dealing with Ma's passing, with her eventual passing, my brother and I had to work closely with each other. Our bonds become so damn tight it's not even funny. Some brothers would try to kill each other. Yeah, we had arguments, but only after Ma was dead. And then we couldn't deal with the pain. We couldn't deal with the trauma. We couldn't even deal with the damn grief during that time. And we didn't even realize it was kicking both of our asses. Until we had to realize we had to hang together. I don't care what the hell happens, we gotta hang together. And now I'm alone. Is there an appropriate letter to give to my brother of how much I had sacrificed for him? And it's that, no, that's the selfish and self-centered. No, because the thing is how much he did for me and how much Ma did for me and how much of a selfish, self-conscious, egotistical wimp that I have to tell him. Let's be honest here. Yeah, we both screwed each other up left and right in our lives. But the one thing is we were still family. We still loved each other. And sometimes that pain does come out. Well, we have to admit it, they're unkind truths. But if I had a hell of a lot of anger in my heart towards my brother, then I know I'm in the wrong. Because my brother tried his best. That's the only thing I can tell you. He tried his best. I don't know what else I could tell you, what he could or couldn't do. He busted his ass. He was the most imperfect, sorry son of a bitch out there. He didn't give a shit. He was a recovering alcoholic. Texan, pure and pure. He hated California, but he still lived out here anyway. He was still home. He was still with family, and family was out here. And we weren't going to move over to Texas, so we made California our own home. Didn't make him a Californian, just made him an outsider, but he still felt like he was part of something anyway. My brother had tried to be there a lot of instances and took the heat. It took the heat shielded me from law a lot of times. And from a few other people that I screwed up around. I can never apologize to. Was there something I could write? Was there something I could do or to tell him how much I cared about my brother? How much I cared about Ma? I mean, was there sufficient enough words for that? Didn't she do enough? I think she did a hell of a lot more than what I would give her credit for. And yeah, there have been some things that she had to do in certain ways that maybe resent the crap out of her and everybody else around it. But I still have to admit, I still loved her. And I may resented the living crap out of her in certain circumstances, but other times, didn't matter. She was still Ma. I still had to pay her heed and respect, because she was Ma. The pictures you see, they're my family. I'm alone. I'll be biding my time, counting down. I know Ma didn't want me to intend that way, neither did my brother. They wanted me both to live. That's the easiest damn thing to do. But it is there. And the schooling I'm still trying to struggle with. I think Ma would be proud, and so would David. I wish to God I was. I'm not puffing the chest out. I'm doing what I can. It's not the easiest, but it is there. I'm doing it for them, not for me entirely, but for them as well. I screwed up a long time ago in my college. And I had to work my ass off ever since. Well, didn't give me any choice. Homeless or work your ass off. So it happens when you waste 2.5 years. So now, I'm hoping not to waste it this time. I'm a bit calmer right now. My feet still kill me, but I'm a bit calmer right now. So if this is a letter to my mother and my brother, the only thing I gotta tell them is I miss them. And it's God's time when I go up or not and be reunited. Until then, I gotta do whatever it takes down here to get whatever needs to be done or something. Or just basically to live a little bit longer somehow. I don't know if I'm going to be happy or not. I don't know if I'm going to be enjoying music again or not. I hope so. I hope so. Music was important to my family. My grandmother was, I understood from her that she was beautiful when it came down for the piano. My grandmother at one time had a little orchestra of her own. Long time ago. Ma could play, but she was okay. Dave and I never picked up on it. We just had the appreciation for music, but we never could play musical instruments. It was not our style. We could try singing, sharp, flat, and neutral all at the same time. We made a choir master cringe every time we came in for practice. There was longer practice because we had to make sure we had to get the notes right. That's what happens when you have bass sections that are sharp, flat, and neutral at the same time. Ma listened to us a few times when she came for the church services. First United Methodist Church in North Hollywood back in the 90s and early 2000s, I think. And about a couple of years, we did it. But they had to change their practice to a certain day that we couldn't even do it. Couldn't even make it. So, had to dump it. There were some days I matched it anyway. Some days I did miss it. Only because I was listening to my brother's notes and I'm listening to everyone else's notes and I'm trying to do whatever I can to be sharp, not to be sharp, flat, and neutral. I guess that's about it. This is still April 4th, 2022. And I know I didn't do the introduction because I was getting my ass on here. It's 7:39 at night. We'll see if there's going to be another message or not. And if there is, well, boys and girls, you know where the hell I'm going to be at. Back on this damn thing all over again. So, until then.